go.
Okay, this is going to be basically my first board meeting, but I wanted to do something before we start the official board meeting. I just wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to read the Santa Fe Community College mission statement. Santa Fe Community College is the gateway to individual and community success by providing affordable, high-quality educational programs that serve the social, cultural, technological, and economic needs of the diverse Santa Fe community. And I know that our mission statement is changing, and I'm hoping that it's even going to be stronger. And thank you. And then one more thing, if you don't mind standing and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I've been on a couple of boards, and so I feel comfortable reading mission statements and doing the Pledge of Allegiance. And if any of you feel uncomfortable about it, please see me at another time. Okay, so we have a quorum. Linda just stepped out for a second. There she is. It was just a second. And so I'd like to call this meeting to order. And welcome to all of you. Those of you who, I don't know if there is anyone here who wants to make a public comment, please, I hope that you've already signed in. And remember the rules that we're restricted to 2 minutes, 5 minutes? Is it 5 minutes? Three. It's 3 minutes. 3 minutes, and Rosemary will be the referee. So, okay. Thank you. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for your interest, and we hope to increase that and include more students here. Alex Mitchell was not able to come. He's sick, and he's getting better so he can attend graduation. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get a motion to accept the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Okay, so carried. Thank you. No questions or anything? All right, so do we have any public comments, Rosemary? Or
We have two.
two? Okay, go ahead and call them up, please.
The first one is Gordon Fluke.
Hey, Gordon.
Chairperson Abeyta, Dr. Guzman, members of the board. I understand there are staff members who have deep concerns about the changes that are occurring on campus. But there are also staff members who are excited about the changes and see wonderful things happening for SFCC students. Continuing Ed's physical office environment is probably the worst on campus right now. But we understand that our previous office is being put to excellent use as the Center for Academic Transition. The increase in the graduation rate that last fall very few people believed could be reached is certainly worth the price of my and my staff's temporary discomfort, even if it has gone on months longer than expected. The full-time faculty and adjunct faculty ratio has long been a source of complaint on campus. It has been brought up in public forums repeatedly during repeated presidential searches. Now we have a leader who is addressing the issue head on. Although I know the majority of you on the governing board personally, I haven't been in touch to talk about campus issues. I'm working with our now not so new president and trust. I haven't been given any reason not to trust Dr. Guzman. In my opinion, she has been an honorable and transparent leader, and I enthusiastically look forward to the college's change and growth. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Gordon.
Is laughing at the comments considered a reaction? We don't,
We can't
we
respond.
don't react to it. Okay, next.
If we say thank you, we react it.
Good, thank you.
The next one is Ted Bolter.
You didn't butcher it. Good evening. Chair Abeta and President Guzman, members of the board. My name's Ted Bolter, and I'm just a lifeguard here. Okay, and I'm also an adjunct swim instructor, and I teach about 300 kids how to swim every year for Gordon, in the pool here. But I'm a staff member also here, and I've been told I'm just a lifeguard. So since most of you don't know me, I just want to give you a little of my background before, I talk to you about Ms. Guzman and what's going on. I was born and raised here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm one of the few of any of my friends that still live here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Most of all my friends I grew up with, they all left town except for maybe Chris's sons who are friends of mine. And I grew up in the house, my parents' house, and I now live in I'm a product of the Santa Fe Public Schools. I graduated from Santa Fe High with a mediocre GPA in 1985, and I started attending the Santa Fe Community College in 1986 was the first class I took, and it was a DOS class. And it was at the old industrial, and it was an it's funny because later I became, a network person, so taking a DOS class kind of got me into part of my career. Well, I did this at what used to be the Valdez Industrial Park when we were located way out there. And I stopped going to the community college after 1986 because in 1987 I joined the Santa Fe Fire Department. And I spent, at 19, I joined before now we have to be 21 to join, but I was 19 when I started. My parents had a restaurant, and I grew up here. If you've been in Santa Fe for a long time, there was a restaurant in the 70s and 80s called Ernie's. So I grew up in a family-owned restaurant here in Santa Fe and joined the fire department. I worked my way up from firefighter to being the first fire marshal in the city of Santa Fe in 1996. That I became the first fire marshal. And in 2007, I was promoted to assistant fire chief. Okay, real quick, So, sorry about that. The main reason I wanted to discuss issues with you is I've got a lot of background in management, and when I had one vision of the Santa Fe Community College when I graduated here magna cum laude in 2006. When I came back here as an employee, I saw a lot of dysfunctionality in my area where I'm at as far as management, lack of leadership, bullying, just backstabbing. I've never worked in an organization where I've seen managers, as a former manager, seeing managers point the fingers at each other, blaming everyone else. And I've seen a lot of that, and I didn't understand it. And now I've tried to talk to some of these people, and it seems like most of the people around here that I've talked to, I'm not speaking for anyone outside the school that I work in, are more concerned with keeping their jobs than doing their jobs. And, I put out fires for a living. So, I'm used to getting things done and doing them right away. I finally, after 3 years of spending, working here, met with Dr. Guzman. And, she's the first person above me in my chain of command who has actually been responsive and have listened to some, I have ideas to make things more efficient. I think that my experience in running, a $13 million annual budget, 7 facilities, which are all fire stations, 50 pieces of fire trucks, and 130 personnel, that counts for something. Where I'm working in my part of the college, I'm treated like a 14-year-old child right now, and I'm been told by upper management that I'm just a lifeguard. I think if you continue into the mission statement, I think the value statement of the college says that employees and staff are the greatest resource. And the expertise that I bring and the knowledge and all the, experiences I have in my career makes this a better place. Now, I've come here to teach. I retired in 2000, 3 years ago. I retired from the fire department with honors as the assistant chief. And I came here, and I'm not here for the money. And I've told that to President Guzman. I would almost work for free. But don't tell my wife that. But, I want to pass it forward. There's some of us here in Santa Fe who were born and raised here, lucky enough to stay here. I bought my parents' home, and I want to mentor these kids as they come here. And I want to pay it forward and pass it forward. This is the first person here in the last 3 years that's actually been supportive of that and not told me I was a 20-hour part-time lifeguard and that's what I needed to be, and be in that position. So I think she has a plan for reorganization. I've been involved in lots of reorganizations in the city of Santa Fe. I operated 10 annual budgets where I was told cut it 5% and be more efficient while you're at it, and everyone wants to do more with less. So I think you finally have a leader who's willing to make those decisions and be a leader. And I think we've had a lack of leadership for a while. And I hope you give this woman the chance to do what she was hired here, I think, to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I kind of skipped around and I did the public comments first, but now we'll have the President's Awards and presentations. President's report.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Guzman.
The President's report. Well, we have had a busy month last month, and I have some good news. Chris de la Rosa, who has a doctorate in IT, will be our next CIO, and he will be reporting for duty on June 13th. He is an expert in Banner, and so he will be able to be very helpful to Santa Fe Community College. And KC, we thank KC for the interim, and we are indebted for all the good work that you've done, KC. And KC has been asked to apply for an assistant CIO, which I think she will be wonderful at. I have also named the three deans. I sent that to you, and Margaret Peters, the Dean of Liberal Arts and Fine Arts, is here. Will you stand? The other two deans were not able to be here, but they will be here next month. And now we are, the month of June will be spent, Randy and I, working with the deans to develop the rest of the reorganizational plan. And the schedule is out, so people know that they can self-nominate, or others can nominate them as chairs. And by the next board meeting, we will have the complete organizational chart with these deans and then the new chairs. And there will also be lead faculty. For the rest of my presentation, I have asked Cheryl to present the things that we are doing with student services, because we know how much we have increased, and I appreciate Gordon not resenting the placement. We should probably give him 25 graduates for his being uncomfortable. But Cheryl, I thought that Cheryl should talk about the kinds of things that we're doing for the students.
I want to make sure I do this right. I got instructions from Carmen about what to say to address you. Chair Abeda, Madam President, and members of the board, that I want to just give you a brief report on some of the initiatives that have been underway in student success. With the creation of the Division of Student Success last October, there's really been a sense of urgency and I think a really strong focus on making a difference for students and helping them to succeed, helping them to actually graduate and get a certificate or a degree program so that they can do better for themselves, and it helps the community, it helps everyone. I was afraid Gordon was going to steal some of my thunder when he was talking about the Center for Academic Transitions, but that really is a great example of an initiative that's making a difference for students. That was started in January, and the crew started working, calling proactively students that had 45 plus credits, and they were advising them about what they needed to graduate and worked with them to clear substitutions and do other things. And as a result of that work, and also the faculty and the deans really getting on board with that we have increased the number of graduates by 17% for the overall academic year. And that translates into 80 more students for the entire year. So last year, 11-12, we had 484 graduates. This year we're estimating, because students still have to finish all the way, 564. And so that really is paying off. The other thing that is happening is, as you know, if you haven't heard, you'll see it tomorrow, the number of graduates that are actually planning to walk has increased almost double, from 189 students to 375. And that was another thing that didn't just happen. There was a real focused effort on the part of faculty and staff encouraging students to walk. And the other thing that was done is students weren't having to pay for a graduation robe, that they're being given that. And even though $25 may not seem like a lot, like it is for a lot of the students. So now we have the other problem of having to give tickets and making sure that we don't exceed the numbers. But it's a really, really great problem to have, and it's so nice that we have so many more students that are graduating. So I think we did get Gordon his 25. There are some other things that I thought were important to highlight that also are making a difference for students, and one of them is the one credit student success course that I have to say we expressed that when Dr. Guzman got here. She talked to us about what they had done at Palo Alto, so we borrowed their book and we started working on this in October. We created our own book that is called Paso a Paso, Step by Step, and it's a one credit class. We offered 8 sections of this in the spring semester. I taught one of those sections with Dr. Gonzalez, and it is incredible what the transformation that students have, and the student surveys are excellent as far as what they got out of it, that they were all very positive. The thing that we're waiting to see is about what that is going to do for retention, for credit accumulation, for actual graduation. But we actually are tracking those students, and we will be able to report back about the difference that makes. But having been in class with those students, I think that it is going to make a big difference, and it was very rewarding to work with the students. One other thing I wanted to mention is currently we have 4 certificate programs that are Pell eligible, and those are all in the teacher ed program. We have already submitted information to the Department of Education to increase that by 28 certificate programs, and expect to have 28 more certificates that students will be eligible for and be able to get financial aid in the fall. The other thing that I think is really smart is the certificate programs will nest within the AAS degrees. So if a student graduates with a certificate and then wants to come back, that they'll be able to do that very seamlessly. And that a lot of times when students get a certificate, it gives them the confidence to come back and pursue greater higher education. So I think that is going to be a really great thing. I know I said that was the last thing, but I have one more thing. The graduation retreat, this is what my sister tells me, stop talking, that we had a graduation retreat, and it was learning and student success folks that got together, and that there were a lot of initiatives that were considered, and it really is about getting rid of impediments and barriers to graduation. And so there are a lot of great ideas that I think are being worked on right now, and so I think that there are going to be a lot of really great things that happen. So thank you for letting me tell you a little bit about that.
Thank you.
Could we ask some questions? So that one credit course, how many, have we done that a couple years?
No.
We just started?
We just started. We, as part of the Title V program, we were working on a redesign of our student success, our 3-credit student success course. And so we had done some work on that as far as the curriculum, but the 1-credit class was completely new, and the book is awesome. I can pass it around.
And by the way, I brought the Palo Alto book. They improved it, and so I sent it back to them. And so now they don't want to see paso a paso. But the difference is that it costs the students, and so clearly 3 hours is better than 1 hour. But if we're going to do something, and we believe that it's really important, we found that 1 credit will really make a difference, will not cost the students very much, and will get them started right. And so I showed it to the counselors here in student services. They loved it. They built their own book, and now we're implementing the 1-credit model.
And for the fall, we're offering 15 sections of that 1-credit class, and it is being taught by advisors.
Well, and now it's required. We have made it a requirement of freshmen with 15 hours or less to take that course, because we have found that they're coming with unrealistic expectations, and that course really centers them and focuses them and lets them know that they need to choose a major. They can change that major, but if they choose something, then they'll finish quicker.
Dr. Bermudez?
I was just going to ask, what do you include in that course? What kinds of content?
There's information about the resources that are available. There's also time management information, how to, like one example, the students actually go through and they figure out how many hours they spend with their friends, how many hours they spend in class, how many hours they spend studying. And like, we had a few that were like, I don't have enough hours in the day to go to my classes. So there's a lot of information about that. On their finances, we had representatives from one of the credit unions that actually came and talked to students about how to build credit. We had financial aid people come in and remind students about the importance of applying. We also had advisors come in and encourage students to be sure to meet with them. And so there were a whole series of modules that were included that and as we see the students that were in our class, I can talk about those, they tell us what a difference it made for them to understand how they had to go through and organize. One other thing, there is a difference that the students that go into the 3-credit hour class are ones that typically need 3 of the developmental courses. Right, and so the ones, and we kind of, played with the cut score for the 1-credit class, but it seems like it's working pretty well, and that those students are able to handle the 1-credit and get just enough of what they need out of that. And, the connection that students make with the instructor, the advisor, that it's quite remarkable.
That's great. Thank you.
As a comment, back in the day of developmental studies, when I worked there, we did a course like that, but the thing that hindered us was that it wasn't required.
Right.
And that makes such a difference because, I think that sometimes students get bad habits in high school.
Right.
Sorry, and they just want to move through and I don't have to take that, and they don't take it. But those courses that are time management and just group interaction and stuff, those are so critical, and I totally agree with them, and I think it's really good.
Thank you.
Another thing that I wanted to say was that on the graduation rate, it's not just the teachers; it's all of us. We're all responsible for the graduation rate going up. Working with students or just talking with the students that and at whatever level we're at, it really is. And the more we feel that, we are all responsible for that. Mm-hmm. I think it adds to the to the whatever that word is, that bringing it up. And I'm very proud that that we've raised it up from when I started in '84, that we've brought it up so much, and we have a great graduation rate, and that people are really involved, and very proud to graduate from Santa Fe Community College. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Linda.
So the $25 for the graduation robes, are we paying for that out of student services or something?
I'm not sure where that money's
But
coming.
we're paying for everybody's robe?
Well, and actually, we're loaning them and then collecting them back, but we know we won't get them all back. But for the most part,
Use them again.
Well, and why we stress it so much is because if they go through an event, then they know they're finished with something, and so then the question becomes, what's next?
Right.
If if we just send them the diploma, then that's a non-event. And I believe, and we believe, that it is very important to make them proud and then to say to them what's next. And that will encourage the going to the HEC and transferring, and will encourage better, and also this center is going to help them, those who don't want to transfer, to get better jobs. Because what we know is that a lot of students who are minorities don't get better jobs after they graduate from community college because they need the help of the college. And so that's what we will be doing next year. This year, we didn't have enough staff to just get them to graduate. Next year, we'll get them to graduate, make sure that they're transferring, those who want to transfer, and those who don't, get them better jobs.
And then one more question, and I'm sure Yosh can do this, or maybe it already exists. Like
There's Josh.
Josh could do anything.
A chart that has all going back, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, so that we can look at the number of students we have and how many graduated and the number of students, because, some of this, obviously we've increased the percentage, but some of the numbers are because we had this huge bulge of hundreds of more students coming into the college. So that would be a really interesting thing to see of how many are we graduating of those who came in. And I know it's complicated, though, because what period of time do you use? But I'm sure you could figure it out.
Well, it seems like I don't have to be here. You just answered my response there. But yes, we have some of that information currently for the old existing balanced scorecard, which talks about there's an enrollment information and then the number of graduation. But even with the increase in enrollment, the increase in the number of graduates, thanks to the older efforts, is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I have.
May I make a comment, Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that, of course, creating a graduation as an event, that's the most important thing. But also, secondarily, we're going to make a lot of money when the formula funding hits us, because that's one thing they're going to be looking at, how many people graduate. So we are getting a head start. So, it's a win-win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I said Mark.
Okay, now we're going to get a marketing and public relations, Janet?
What we decided to do, because the board asked what were the councils doing and were the councils working. And so given that information, I met with the executive team, and we decided that we would rotate the councils in and out so that you would have some information on academic affairs, some information in student services, on administrative, but you'd also hear from the councils themselves. And so Janet is the chair of the marketing council, and we did not have a marketing plan previously, and that was the first task that she took to the marketing council, and she is really pleased with it. And so you're on, Janet.
Thank you. Chair Abeta, members of the board, Madam President, I do appreciate this opportunity to present the work of the Marketing Council and the work of the Marketing and Public Relations team. We are developing a college-wide integrated strategic marketing plan together. Next slide. A lot of folks ask me, well, why are you creating a plan? Why don't you just keep on doing campaigns? And and while campaigns are wonderful, you need a plan that is aligned with the college's strategic plan and can help the college realize the goals in the strategic plan. A campaign follows from that. So I just wanted to make that clear. Next. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We also, when we have a plan, we can look at our return on investment for the plan. The board may ask, others may ask, what measures can you use to determine if it's even effective? And our response is there's probably not one single one, but we do have data pieces we can look at with the council and we can evaluate. We are unique here at Santa Fe Community College, and we do have to consider our mission, vision, and goals, what populations we're serving, where are we serving them, and what is exactly the competitive environment that we exist in. So those are the things that the return on investment will look at. We will study outputs and outcomes. We have plenty of outputs in marketing. We print brochures, we do advertisements, we have a very robust website. But an outcome, and this is not real data, I just want to give this as an example, but an outcome example would be, okay, you print brochures, how many phone calls and how did your visits go up on your website once those brochures hit the high schools? So sometimes people in higher education kind of bristle at looking at higher education with the traditional business marketing model. But really, we do have product, price, place, and promotion, which are the essential elements of any marketing plan. Our product, of course, is academic affairs, our graduates, our community services. We do have a price, and it is very competitive, I believe, and I think you would agree. And our place, you just can't beat it. And we do our promotion, and it typically focuses, of course, on our recruitment and our admissions and other marketing efforts for each of our audiences. Who are they? There's a lot of them. There is no such thing as the general public anymore. We all belong to some group, and we all have a specific reason why we're either enrolled at Santa Fe Community College or we interact with Santa Fe Community College. There are probably even more audiences that we can think of, but each audience needs a communications plan. Each audience we need to reach throughout the year, and our plan will look at how we communicate with these various audiences, what they need at any given time, and how the quality of our communications impact these audiences. Some of our channels, of course, are featured here. We put an exclamation point on social media because I want to spotlight that. That is one area that colleges and universities didn't participate in that so much, but today, if you don't have a social media plan, you are really behind the times, and we have had some success with that. We always create special public relations plans around special projects. We recently had a graduation of a special program in TATC, and we helped make sure that the audience was robust there. So what results are we going to expect as the Marketing Council examines how to put this plan together? Enrollment, voter and community support, morale, that's in our internal communications, economic progress, retention, increased funding, and community and governmental partnerships. All of these are impacted by the way we communicate and who we communicate with. Our plan will look like a typical strategic or any kind of action plan. We'll have objectives. We'll have a tactical action plan. We'll list our media channels, our time period, our audiences. We'll apply our resources, and we will continuously improve and evaluate the plan to strengthen it. Make sure that we are hitting our targets.
So these timeframes, Janet, are just, those aren't relevant for now. Okay.
We're just at the beginning stages. The council has just started this work. We will have an annual plan, and so there will be time periods for various elements. This communications plan will happen at this time. This campaign will happen at that time. And of course, you plug in always your registration campaigns. Our messaging goes through all different kinds of media. And I think this slide might be a little bit different on your screen because I just tested it out in here this afternoon and I went, oh no, the previous way I had it, the colors it wasn't working.
Yeah, that's better.
Thank you. So we tweak. But we use all of these and probably more. We use data to guide our decisions. We're using them data more and more. Thank you, Yash. And actually, our web developer in our office is becoming quite the expert on Google Analytics. Using Google Analytics, we can learn who's visiting our page for how long, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things that we did do that we tracked is use Google Analytics to look at what are the pages students are visiting most often. What is it that students need to do on the website that we can improve? We looked at that some time back, and we said, oh my goodness, we need to increase our efforts to make sure that those pages that the students are visiting most often are the very best they can be, and they are serving the student needs. So we tracked it, and we found that it was growing as we kept kind of tweaking the messaging and tweaking the things that students can do on our website. One of the things that OIT is helping us with and will continue to is moving toward a mobile app. And here you can see that over the past year, people coming into our website from a mobile device has increased tremendously. So what we need to do and what OIT is helping us develop is an application that where a student is on an iPhone or a tablet or whatever it is they're on, they can go register for a class, pay for a class, do the transactional things that they need to do with the college from whatever device, wherever they are. They don't have to have a desktop computer, et cetera, et cetera. So this will increase the usability of our website, and students, lots of students now, they only have a cell phone, and they use a tablet. They don't use a desktop unit. We also track our press and media relations. And in the current fiscal year, we've issued 76 press releases. And this is a really soft number because there's no specific tracking that you can count on. this is probably very, very low with all of the online blogs these days and the way the media is growing. But we feel like we have a pretty good rate of return.
Do we subscribe to a media service that gives
Yes.
us all our mentions?
Yes, but even they can't grab everything. Those are just some visuals. I think we're in the paper a lot, which is a good thing, and they work well with us. This is a little hard for the audience probably to read, but you can see it on your own screens there, how we undertook one campaign to increase the number of Facebook friends that we have. Facebook, and this is part of our social media plan. We wanted to rebrand our Facebook and page and really try to engage students in conversation, not just push information to them, because the more you can get them to talk back to you and ask questions and engage with one another on Facebook through your site, the better you can communicate with them, and the more they'll pay attention. So, yes?
On Facebook, do we have like specific teachers or, who's on Facebook?
Who's on Facebook?
Guess you're not, Chris.
I'm not.
Well, there goes one that should be.
I'm glad you asked that. Here's who's on Facebook. The audience on Facebook is primarily 18 are visiting our Facebook page, 18 to 34. And yes, faculty communicate. We also have specific pages. For instance, fine arts has a page, different disciplines have their own pages, but we try to make sure that all of those are connected to the main SFCC Facebook presence. So here you can see kind of who they are, male and female, where they come from. Isn't a big surprise. Most of them are in Santa Fe, but we have a small presence in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, Espanola, et cetera, et cetera. This is a picture of our Facebook page. So if you have not friended us, that 2388 is climbing every single day, and we would like you to friend us or like us. And you can see at that particular time when we captured that, we had some messages. This is just a shot of our recent registration campaign that is one of my particular favorites because I love the way she's, and this was a candid, just sending a photographer into a classroom. She just, to me, really illustrates a really great dynamic situation in the classroom. So I went through that kind of fast. Why is that on there? Because we're always looking for new opportunities to get our message out. We only found out in the last 2 weeks that finally the rail runner is going to start accepting advertisements to be on the train. And you can bet that Santa Fe Community College will have a presence on the train and at the station and on the trains themselves. I think it's a wonderful opportunity, and we can't wait to be partners. We had been calling them so that when it did become available, they would put us in there. So we feel we're on track with that one, and that everyone will want to get on board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, of course.
So who is on the council?
The council is made up of faculty, staff. We have 2 students, and probably we have at least 20 members. All of the deans are on there, and so it's hard to make every council meeting all the time. But what's wonderful too is that just kind of changes the dynamic, because what we're talking about there are very creative things, and getting more and more input from across the campus is going to make this plan successful.
Great. Thanks.
Any more? Kathy?
Can I ask some questions about timing? So how often do you meet? How many times have you met so far? And when are you going to have your plan finished?
We meet we meet once a month. It's the first Wednesday of every month. And we just started talking about putting this together two meetings ago. But we had been meeting for at least, we'd had 4 or 6 meetings before that, just talking about basic concepts of marketing and who we are and how we can serve the campus community. And now we're getting into the serious work of putting this plan together. And we hope to have it fairly rapidly. It'll be difficult over the summer because we won't have our faculty reps and our student reps so much, but we can start with some of the essential elements I think I was illustrating.
But you said you won't be able to do it till the strategic plan is done.
Well, I think we can go along together. I'm on the strategic planning steering committee. I'm keeping in close touch with that and watching as our mission statement is getting refined in our values. I can use those concepts to start better understanding and helping the council understand how that fits in to our work.
Because right now, they're on registration, because we believe that we should grow. Because it is in growth then that we can bring in some more money and then continue to expand. And so registration is becoming a very important part of this plan and how we come up to registration 3 times a year. Now, she's in the strategic plan, but also as we go outside to the rays of light in early childhood and the other, then those things will have to come into this plan. So I agree, parts of it will be done, parts of it will have to wait for the strategic plan.
And because it's an annual plan,
Right.
it will constantly be evaluated, it will constantly be improved.
That's the quality improvement.
Exactly. It's not static.
And so normally your office would be doing this plan on your own. So I'm assuming. So what's the difference between your office doing it and the council doing it now? Are you guys basically doing it and then asking for their input?
Well, I can't stress enough how much better it is to have all of those voices at the table. Yes, some work we do, like the registration campaigns, and we get their input, and we can very quickly ask across the campus, are the radio stations that we're targeting the right ones? What do you hear about the best channels of media out there? Is print the best? Do you think we need more social media? And so having that marketing council and having their broad across campus view is priceless. It's like having a monthly focus group that is extremely meaningful and giving you instant feedback. Things like that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Very good.
Good. I'd like to just give credit where credit's due, and my staff, Jeff Atwell and Laura Mulry, are in the audience. And Jeff is our graphic designer who does our advertising and other graphics. And Laura has been especially focused on social media, and I don't think we would have the Facebook presence that we have without her hard work. So I want to publicly thank them.
Thank you.